Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob. Let's break down some of those preseason week 2 games. Well,
Do we have to?
I really don't want to.
It's bad we started off that way, guys. We were hoping to go 2-0 to start this preseason here. Instead, we go 1-1 as the Giants get actually trampled by the Texans 28-10. And, you know, we're not going to go over every single play here. We're not going to go over every single player in the game. We're going to go over some highlights, a couple lowlights. Looking at you, DJ. We're going to talk about some stuff. And we warned you guys leading up to this that when it came time to discuss the game after it was done, that we were going to overanalyze the hell out of Daniel Jones. Well, guess what, guys? It is officially time for us to overanalyze Daniel Jones. And yeah, guys, this was not the game you wanted. Love him or hate him, he is our quarterback. You should want good things from him, except a few Giant fans who just can't stop hating because you want to be right more than they care about the Giants. But yeah, this was not the start you wanted. You start off the game with back-to-back interceptions here. Not good. Not good, guys. I mean, goes 3 and out, whatever, no big deal. I'm going to have 3 and outs. Next drive, he ends up, deep into territory there where, like, he's got a pass rush going towards him. He's trying to stop himself from getting sacked, which would be a safety because he's in the end zone. And he throws the ball towards Theo Johnson. And ends up getting picked off by Jalen Petrie, the young safety there, who runs it in the end zone for a pick 6. And guys, it was a horrible play. Point blank.
Yeah.
Horrible play. This is something I'd be pissed off if a rookie did. Not a 6-year quarterback.
You might forgive a rookie quarterback for this. This is an obvious throwaway play.
Yeah.
It's something like he's acting like a game's on the line that really matters. And he's trying to extend plays with a bum knee.
Well, to clarify, you can't throw the ball away. He's in the middle of the field. So you have to throw it towards a receiver. The issue is that you don't throw it towards the receiver's body. You throw it towards their feet where no one can catch the ball. Because that's what avoided this whole scenario. I just want to clarify, but somebody says like, "Oh, you can't throw the ball away." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I was about to say let's be clear.
I do what you meant. Like, I'm making sure other people know what you meant at that point there. So
obviously you're just not going to throw it at the line of scrimmage at nobody, but like you throw an impassable catch.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to throw in the vicinity of the receiver is the rule. So you throw in the vicinity, you go for his shoes, you aim for his cleats, and that's enough to get you out of trouble. And it's enough that nobody's going to probably pick off that ball. And we're back down to the next down at that point. We get to live to fight another day. But instead, we're down by a touchdown because of that kind of move. Yeah. And I'll guarantee you guys, Daniel Jones wishes he could take that back the second he did it.
100%.
Now, Rob and I kind of ride the line, I feel like, to a certain degree on Daniel Jones. Like, we don't trash him. We don't praise him. There's the middle ground. We're the middle ground. I know it's not the popular. All the cool kids want to be the haters or the lovers of Daniel Jones. We're the middle ground. But what you got going on, basically, is you got a quarterback whose nerves were up because it's his first game back in the year. The pressure is on. He's coming off an injury. He's probably still a little tight because he hasn't played football in forever at that point. And I'm not trying to say that excuses the play. I'm just saying maybe get the kid a little slack and see what he does. I know it's crappy. It was a horrible play, guys. Horrible
This is the play. This is also the play you want to happen during a preseason game. That means absolutely docky bukkake.
And I know we're talking 2 seasons ago, basically, but it's really a season and a couple of preseason games ago. Really, it's not 2. The big thing about Daniel Jones was how much he changed the ball security. He had only 5 interceptions last year, 22. That's a really low number. So we had 2 in this game now. We'll get the second one in a minute. But it's like, do you really want to chastise somebody for one bad game in the preseason? If one game in the preseason changes your opinion that much of a player, guys, you got to look in the mirror. Something else is going on in your life. Who hurt you?
Show me on the doll where you were hit.
Yeah, because if 1 or 2 drives changes how you feel about a player, either positive or negative, you are the definition of a fair weather fan. 100%. Now, you could look at it and go, oh my God, this isn't a good sign. If Daniel Jones keeps this up, then we're in trouble this year. That's 100% a valid observation to have. To sit there and say he threw 2 bad balls, there's no way in hell he can succeed this year. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So the second interception was the following drive. The Giants actually had the ball moving too, which is what's kind of really sucks about it. Not that it's ever a good time to have an interception, but it's even worse when you got the ball a little bit and you're a little bit past midfield and you're trying to go for that tying score, and instead he throws the deep bomb to Jalen Hyatt, off the right side there, right up against the sideline, and he throws a little short. And when you have a small window and you throw it short, guess who usually is right there? The corner. So Derek Stingley just catches the ball, nice and simple, and ends the drive there. So, not a good showing here in the very beginning by Jones. Now, he did get better as the game went on. I will say this, he went better as the game went on. He started playing backups. We have to put that as the evaluation process. So, wasn't good against the starters, was really good against the backups. So you can look at it as going, he played lesser talent. You could also get it like he made a couple of bad moves and then calmed himself down and steadied the course. That all depends on how positive.
Both could be right.
You want to be. Exactly. Both can be right. It's probably a combination of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that was waiting for Brian Dable to just turn beat red,
explode,
his head explode off his neck and everything?
He lost some weight, so he might not turn as red this year.
Yes. Or maybe all of a sudden he's like that. What's the kid in Willy Wonka that turns into a blueberry? More angry he gets, turns like a raspberry instead. But on the day as a whole, Daniel Jones 11 of 18, 138 yards, 2 interceptions, and 1 run for 12 yards. Now the run, guys, that's what made me more nervous than anything else.
100%.
No, don't do it. It's preseason.
Especially because it was just shy of the first down, and he didn't die.
He was going for the first down.
He was.
He was 2 yards short of it, and he was going for it. He should have.
He 100% was. He should have just slid. It's preseason.
Yes,
it's preseason. That's what made me very nervous. And let's throw a little kudos there. He threw a very nice pass to Neighbors. They got things ready to get the touchdown.
Yeah,
right? It was Neighbors.
Yeah, he threw a couple. He threw a couple good passes. I mean, he had that one before Singletary. We'll get to that one later on in the show, but it was Slayton he threw to. It was a nice deep bomb.
Slayton, yes.
He had a nice deep sideline throw over to Neighbors as well. There was nice throws he had. It wasn't all bad, but he's just. I'm okay with him making mistakes now.
Get the rust out. He hasn't played
I'd rather
football
make now in the preseason. Yeah.
Yeah, when you haven't played football in 10 months,
yeah,
give the guy a little slack.
My big thing is again, while he's making these runs, especially in the preseason, as the great John Resnick of the Google Duel said, just slide.
Why don't you slide, baby? Just slide.
I don't know why. I still like the Goo Goo Dolls. It's a good band. It's a good band.
I don't
But
think the Google Dolls like the Google Dolls anymore.
no, it was kind of really creepy as John Resnick what it looks like now. He's getting into like Joan Rivers status.
Oh.
Yeah, it's getting bad. He's pushing 60, dude. He's pushing 60.
Okay. Bon Jovi 60. He doesn't look like Joan Rivers. He's older than that, right?
Bon Jovi has more money. He can afford better plastic surgeries.
Touche.
Just calling it like it is. He's had more hits. So Bon Jovi's 62, by the way. So anyway, again, I caution people that are suggesting we get rid of Daniel Jones to understand two things. One, we can't get rid of Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
Except
costs too much.
Except this is not like a spouse that you could just sign a divorce paper and they take half your crap and leave. Like, this is not what the situation is. This is somebody that you can sign the divorce paper and cut him and still give him all the money and actually lose more money than you would have given him this year otherwise. That's what the situation is. Like, we don't have it, guys. We don't have it. Why would you cut a player and give him like $45 million to go away? I don't care how bad you think Daniel Jones is. If you think that's a smart plan, you don't know football. At least not the economics of football. Now, if you were saying as a player he should be cut, he should have been cut a while ago, probably. Let's be honest, guys. He probably should have been cut a while ago.
Gotta love that guarantee money.
Yeah, like the Giants ruined him. I'm sorry. I still stand by that. The Giants ruined him, and he's not the answer. He's not the future. But he's the best answer we got right now, guys.
Currently.
That's what he is. So, if you're hoping that there's going to be some, like, I'm seeing fans going, oh, we're going to get Dak Prescott. Like, what crack are you smoking? Like, why would we get Dak Prescott right now before the season starts? Do you think the Cowboys are like, you know what? This team's set up for too much success right now. We're going to go ahead and trade our quarterback to the division rival before the season begins. That makes sense. Like,
and they're also probably the same fans that bashed Dak for how many years?
Yes. That's the other thing. Why would you want Dak? That's a whole separate conversation. And there's only one quarterback out there, guys, right now that you could sit there and say is got any abilities to start in this league right now, and that's Ryan Tannehill, who is out there for a reason. He did not look good with the Titans. I'm not so sure if he's better than DeVito and Locke at this point, to be honest with you guys. I'd be willing, if, like, let's say hypothetically Daniel Jones got hurt. Not trying to put that out there in the world because it happens on its own enough as it is. But if he got hurt right now, I would be saying, the Giants should probably bring in Ryan Tannehill, let him compete with Locke and DeVito and see what happens. Basically, other than that, he's not coming here, guys. Not going to happen. So no, he's going to wait for a spot to start, or he might just walk away. I'm surprised the Vikings didn't give him a call. So. That's not happening. There's no other quarterback. There's no magical quarterback coming through this room to fix this situation. I've heard people talking about Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is cheap. Why would the Lions get rid of somebody they think is a quality backup? That is cheap. Like, you'd have to give up something significant. I think it was a third-round pick, was he, for them? So what do you think you're going to give up to get Hendon Hooker? A fourth-round pick? They're going to go down one round after drafting him just last year before he even plays in a game? Like, think about the logic that people are suggesting. Do you really think that Hendon Hooker is worth a second-round pick?
Yeah, probably not.
I'm being honest. Like, I don't see that. His cap number is $1.3 million. That's great for a backup. Nobody's giving them a second round pick or something like that for a guy that hasn't even played it down yet and is coming off an ACL injury. I mean, sure, he fit right in the Giants roster. They can all talk about overcoming ACL injuries, but it's like they're not going to do that. They have 3 years of him cheap. He is not going to see that lead that team until basically he has a ton of value. Because let's say that he gets in because of an injury for a little while and looks really good. and gains a lot of value all of a sudden, or he goes to the Lions and they agree to trade him because they just feel bad because, he's a little bit older. He's going to be 28, 29 for his first season after his contract's up. Like, that's not a lot of time to establish yourself, So, we'll see what happens, guys, but I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up. No Giant quarterback room edition coming. I'm not going to name who. I saw another podcast talk about it, like, oh, I spell quarterback trade coming. What team is going to trade us a quarterback right now, guys? And why would the Giants give up on Daniel Jones when they're paying him most money before he even plays a regular season down?
Yeah, makes no sense.
If the Giants really wanted to get rid of Daniel Jones that badly, that a couple of bad plays makes them say, let's get rid of Daniel Jones. We were wrong about this. They would have gone ahead and made the trade to get Drake May. They would have gone ahead and given up whatever picks they had to get the Patriots to give up that pick. They would have gone ahead and got J.J. McCarthy in the draft because they could have. Or Bo Nix or Michael Penix. They would have gotten a quarterback. They didn't because they actually think that Daniel Jones was better than those options. Whether they're right or not is irrelevant. I think they're wrong, but it's irrelevant.
I mean, we all watched the Hard Knocks. We all talked about how, what was it, episode 2 or is it 3?
They all blend together.
Yeah. Do we get a quarterback or do we ride with DJ? And they early on said, we're riding with DJ. So, they know, this is a guy coming off ACL surgery.
Yep.
You're going to have some lows, especially in preseason. That's when you want this guy to have lows. What's out there and available, you don't think Shane looked at that preseason coming into here? You didn't think he was oh, we signed Locke for $5 million. You didn't think he was oh, maybe we should find, Russell Wilson that was talked to you out there. Would have been cheaper to bring him out there if you didn't think, DJ was your guy. Have a veteran to come back in here.
Yeah.
You didn't think you'd go with Justin Fields. You didn't think, not saying they're all better, but they would have made some moves.
Yeah. If they didn't have some faith in Daniel Jones, they would have made that. Again, we're not here to debate whether or not that faith is, validated and reasonable to have. That's a whole different debate. The debate doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. It's just whether or not the Giants think that he was worth of doing this to. And they think that. So until he gets a shot to prove them otherwise in the regular season, they're going to give him the shot. And then if he doesn't succeed, you will see Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito eventually come into this equation because they're not going to let him start the whole year and fail the whole year. I don't think that for a heartbeat. I think if that happens, they'll put DeVito or Lock in there, let them go ahead and do their thing for a little while and see if they can get better than what we're getting out of Daniel Jones. And to be very frank, I hope it's Tommy DeVito if that happens. Drew Lock, I have no faith in whatsoever. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't think he's that good. I think he's good coming out. So, he's not a bad backup, but he's just not somebody that I want to look at as a starter. So we'll see what happens. Let's get to a little more positive talk here, though.
Oh, yes. Ooh.
Let's talk about Elijah Chapman, who is now the defensive star of the preseason since Johnson, the linebacker's out now. He kind of takes over that role. He's impressed us obviously in the first preseason game, but now, he's got to play the preseason. So last week he comes in, gets a sack against the Lions, and then now this week he comes in, and you see that big body chasing down a running back in the game. That was Elijah Chapman, guys, undrafted rookie free agent. A guy that was left for dead as far as the draft goes and was picked up cheap as anything. That's what undrafted rookie free agents are. He flat out chased down running back J.J. Taylor in that game. Guys, if you haven't seen the video, I wish we could put the video up here. We have to get we got to get an agreement with NFL media. But it's this was the kind of game that you look at and you're looking just for people that are going to separate themselves. People that are going to say, you know what? Who's the guy I really want to keep that might be on the bubble? This is the guy that was on the bubble. And he keeps trying to pop that bubble and put himself onto that roster. And I think that was the one who did it. Like, if you don't want a guy who runs his tail off and busts his hump to go ahead and get a running back in a preseason game, when the game don't matter, all the starters are out, and here he is still busting his hump like that. If you don't want a player like that, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You talk about culture changes, winning attitudes. That's it right there. That's it.
That's got the type of guy that's going to change your locker room for you.
Yes. 100%. And we need some change, guys. We need some change. And, he's impressed during camp. He's impressed now in both preseason games. And we've been talking about it. Somebody in this defensive line group is going to step up and be the third starter with Nacho and Dex. I'm not so sure it's Chapman. I think he's going to start off on the bench. But he's going to roll. He's going to carve out a little role for himself, I think. I think he's going to be that kind of player that you're not going to see him necessarily start, but you're going to see him come into the games as a rotational piece. And he's not going to be sitting on the bench the whole game, that's for damn sure. And if you can get yourself that kind of role as an undrafted rookie free agent, you've done something right. That's a win. That's something you can hang your hat on and say, that's impressive. I did that. Now let's see if I can take it to the next level and take a starting job next year. I'm not saying be complacent and say you're done. Like, yeah, I made it. But, like, you can't.
I did it.
You cannot expect an undrafted rookie free agent to come in the league and blow it up and ball out. It doesn't really happen. And you hear about the Victor Cruz example. That's the one you always get. Well, guys, remember, what's going to happen to Victor Cruz? He got injured the first year. He didn't play. So it just come out of nowhere. He got to sit for a year with the coaches and learn things without the stress of having to go through the actual regular season. It was just kind of work on yourself here. And he came back and balled out. I know people bring up the Jets game he had that year and everything in the preseason. He didn't do the regular season. It doesn't count. I'm just saying, like, you don't see it. So, good for Chapman, though. Love to see a guy hustle like that and, hope to see more good things out of him here. Let's get back to some negative, though.
Wow.
This is the biggest issue in the whole game I have. And Daniel Jones' play is part of it. But the biggest issue is ball security. You cannot win at any level of football, let alone the NFL, if you're giving the ball back to the team. This can't be done. No. It is proven scientifically. We've done experiments on Madden.
Ran a lot of studies.
Exactly. So the Giants had 4 fumbles. 3 of them were lost, along with Daniel Jones's 2 interceptions, guys. You can't win with 5 turnovers, especially when you don't get any turnovers yourself back. That really just messes things up. Yeah. So, if you want to go ahead and win, you got to hold on to the ball. And what's really scary is it wasn't like these are turnovers that you go, okay, well, these were all the same kind of turnovers. Got to fix this one thing and we're done. Like, these were turnovers all over the place. You got the 2 interceptions we went over earlier with Daniel Jones. You got a pick 6 because he, went ahead and went to the wrong spot when he tried to throw the ball away and then throw it at Theo Johnson's feet. And he got underthrown ball at that point. I mean, again, not going to chastise the guy, but 2 interceptions kind of sucks. Then you got a strip ball from DeVito when he was pressured. You got a bad snap by Schlappman there. And you got a fumble by brand new running back Lorenzo Lingard. And then you got another fumble by John Giles, the undrafted rookie free agent. Again, another undrafted rookie free agent, but a wide receiver here who caught the ball and then promptly fumbled it. Like, guys, you can't win this. Well, you can't. And I don't know what Dable can do this week that's different. I mean, do you kind of just chalk it up to like, this has just been a bad week, guys? We're going to go ahead and ignore this ever happened? Or do you do some kind of new drill? Because like I said, they're all different. You got 2 interceptions, a botched snap, a fumble on a run, and a fumble on a catch.
I think it was the little Giants where they threw water balloons at each other, right? They had to catch it. That's the answer.
Yes, along with having the offensive line use Alka-Seltzer.
Yes.
Use these for acid indigestion. I was literally so skinny in high school. I wish definitely not anymore. But in high school, they used to call me Rad Tat when I played football.
A little taller.
Yeah, just a little taller. That's all. But definitely not any stockier. So I was like 5'10", 104 yards. It was crazy. Yeah, as Robbie, who's been in the chat here, popping in saying hi, and all says, "Do like they did in the program, make they carry the ball around." I was thinking that too, but it's like I said, it's all different scenarios. These are professionals. Like I almost want to sit there and say, same as I said with DJ a minute ago, like this is not typical. Do I want to overreact or do I want to move on?
I think it's got to be a little bit of both. Like you gotta be able to forgive this game because like this is. Like, if you want to play devil's advocate, like the past few years, how many turnovers have we had?
Not a lot.
And this is close to what we had in the past few years in turnovers.
Yeah,
in one game, in a preseason game.
But look who did it though. Like so, again, we talked about Daniel Jones has not had a ton of interceptions lately. I think he's got 11 in the last 2 years. I'm great. He didn't play a lot last year, but you know.
I don't even think it's that many, right? Because he had two, right?
I think he had 6 last year. Remember, he had a couple of them were just tip balls because Barkley was a hot potato.
Yeah, I was saying, but he had like what 2? That was the crazy stat he had. It was like 2 years ago.
I thought it was 5.
Was that many?
I do think it was 5. I don't think it was 2. It might have been 2 for a while and going up at some point. They let him throw more.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah, so it's 5 last in 22 and 6 last year. So yeah, 11 in 2 years. So, but you're still talking about a guy who, like I said, hasn't thrown a lot of picks lately. So that is, for the record, for those who are keeping track at home there, that is 24 games and 11 picks. His interception percentage was 1.1%. You know? That was league low. He was 1.9 the year before. He was 3.8 last year, so he did throw up a lot of picks. But again, we talked about it. He had 6 picks. I can tell you 1/3 of the picks, I remember very specifically, were Saquon Barkley playing hot potato, and he couldn't catch the ball, and he batted it up in the air, and a defender got it. So I'm not going to blame Daniel Jones for that. That's going to happen. So
yeah,
Rob says, just wanted to say I enjoy your channel a lot. You get good analysis here, and you guys are also entertaining. Much appreciated, man. Seriously, much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
We question your taste, but we appreciate it anyway.
Yeah.
But guys, like I said, I look at him, okay, and I don't like it. It was a horrible game, a horrible decision with the pick 6 especially, but I'm not gonna go flip out over, half a game in preseason. You got DeVito fumbled the ball. This is everyone who's getting pressured. Now, if you look at Tommy DeVito, again, you got a young player. They do make those kind of mistakes sometimes. But I look at Tommy DeVito and I go, yeah, this is a guy who had some issues with that last year. So let's see. His interception percentage, when I still love, where's his fumbles? If I get his fumble right, I'm gonna wasn't planning on talking about that per se, but let's see here. Actually, 2 fumbles last year. That's it. That's not so bad in half these. It's still more than the average, but it's not that horrible. It wasn't like Daniel Jones is a rookie. Like that guy was like, my God, he was like Mr. Bucket. The ball popped out of his mouth. It's like horrible.
It's like, oh hey, boink.
You remember that? You remember that game? Everybody remembers Mr. Bucket. By the way, you ever rewatched it as an adult? Like that song's like, Mr. Bucket, balls pop out of my mouth. Like what? Wait, what? Hold on, what happened?
Hey, squeeze me.
They were giving this to children. Seriously? Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean that's how Daniel Jones was as a rookie. Like they were popping out left and right. So yeah, like I said, I was misremembering. I was thinking he had more fumbles. We had just 2 fumbles last year in 6 starts, 9 games. So basically, you figure probably the equivalent of like 7, 8 starts. He had 2, so that puts him at like 5 for the year, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it's not unheard of high. So I'm sure they're working with him on that. And then you got Schlotman, who was a really good, dependable backup center for the Vikings, didn't have the issue. Then you got Lorenzo Lingard, who probably won't make the roster. John Giles, who probably won't make the roster.
Probably.
So, yeah. You got to work at the fumbling with DeVito a little bit. Make sure he's getting that number down. Schlotman, I tested too with just a mistake there. One mistake and not a big deal. And you just got to keep DJ calm. He did a lot of deep throws in this game, I thought. I think that's part of the problem is I think he's trying to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say you're not going to prove people wrong in the preseason. Look at people are overreacting to a bad game. Maybe you would.
I mean, you're not wrong. The short pass to Hyatt, if that was his first interception and that was the only interception, these the turnovers from DJ wouldn't be talked about as much.
No,
it's that when you start off with when you had a little bit of that heinous, then we get rid of this ball and throw it right into the other guy's hands. Yeah, that's a bad start to the game. So when you go to Hyatt, who talks about separation issues since we got him.
Yep.
And it's underthrown. People are gonna be like, was it Hyatt or was it DJ? You could argue that. And I'm not saying it's DJ's fault because I'm not saying it's not his fault because it was.
I'm still thinking, and correct me. People can correct me if I'm wrong if they think I'm crazy in this. I'll take the criticism, so to speak, but I don't think I am. I would rather see you slightly overthrow Hyatt and hope he can kick it into that second gear for a second.
Yeah, a little overdrive, a little
faster than everybody else on the field. Why are we underthrowing the guy who should be able to outrun anybody?
Maybe you just misunderstood how fast the guy could run.
I'm just saying, that to me is a pretty obvious way of trying to avoid that scenario, and maybe that's what he's going to have to do. There's still a bit of learning curve for Jones with Hyatt because they didn't play together a whole lot last year. Hyatt didn't see much of the field until later on in the season, and Daniel Jones obviously didn't see the field at all the second half of the season. So
yeah, pretty much.
We'll see what happens. Maybe that's part of it. So, all right, let's get into the running backs here because they were the stars of the show there last week in Detroit. And, we said this was a chance for, especially with the injuries going on between Tyrone Tracy and, the minor injury to Turbo Miller, it was a chance for some of these guys to go ahead and separate themselves in the pack, so to speak, and prove they belong. You had the star of the show last week, who was really Eric Gray, even though I still feel it's weird saying that. But he was the star of the show there. So let's see how they did. Devin Singletary did play in the game first off, guys. He had our lone touchdown. Ends up 10 carries, 20 yards. A 10-yard run was his longest one on the game there. So half of his yards literally came from one. Again, you could play this in a lot of different scenarios, especially when we're talking about a guy that didn't play the whole game. And again, if the queen had balls, she'd be the king. So, there's a difference of, you can make this
2024.
I'm just saying. You can make the case that take the 10 yards out. He had 9 carries for 10 yards.
Yeah, not so good.
That's bad. That's really bad. But 10 carries for 20 yards on its own is bad. Let's be very frank about this. So, I think Brasillo and the running backs team and all, they're gonna take a look at what's going on at that running game there with him because, you're especially when you see other guys succeed, you go, okay, what's up with Singletary? So, he's enough of a veteran. He's been around this league long enough that I think it's just a bad game for him. But here's the problem I run into. As we talk about the game, I keep on thinking we're saying this more and more. We're going to just chalk it up to a mistake. We're going to just chalk it up to a bad game. How much can you chalk up before eventually you say, you know what? I'm throwing up now. I'm not even chalking up. I'm throwing up.
Yeah. And let's be real with the starters of the Houston Texans. They're a playoff caliber team.
The Super Bowl caliber team, some people say. I'm not ready to say it yet. I'm not ready to say it.
But not ready to say it, but no one was ready to say they were a playoff team last year, and they were.
Nope.
So, who's to say? So, if they go to the Super Bowl, guess what? We'll look back at this game like, oh, we're a bunch of idiots because we're talking about just, the team that might be a playoff team. But,
we'll say we're a bunch of goofballs first off. Not idiots.
Yeah. Touche.
Patent pending.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean that's what we got to look at. Is Singletary just had a bad game? Now, if he plays against the Jets and plays bad as well, I'm not going to say sound the alarm. I'm going to say sound the concern, because that's not a good start. Then if you play in 2 games and you look bad in both, it's the start of a pattern. It's not necessarily a pattern yet, but it's the start of a pattern. So,
Right.
we'll see what he does. But the Jets aren't also a bad defense, so we'll have to see. Plus, we're playing the Jets in joint practices, so I'm not so sure they're going to have to play the starters next week, to be honest. We'll find out.
Yeah, it should be interesting because like the Jets last year, weren't they like a definitely top 10 defense? But I think
they're a good defense. The problem they had last year was Zach Wilson.
Well,
and everybody else.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons syndrome last year is like, you have a pretty good defense, but your offense can't do a job.
And a good running back, and a good wide receiver. Yeah, they had it all.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens to Rodgers. But Eric Gray, again, star of the show last week, 3 carries, 18 yards. His longest one was 13 yards. So again, 2 carries, 3 yards. The rest. Are we going to be that team where it's going to count on the long runs and just hope that eventually it works out? He also had 5 catches for 22 yards, and I got to give Eric Gray a little bit of kudos here because, and it sounds weird to say that, but Eric Gray is a guy that I feel like we didn't really see him play much last year, and we kind of took that to the coaching staff doesn't like what they see in practice. Obviously, we kind of took that to, Saquon Barkley is so much better, or issues with him with fumbling on the kickoffs and that kind of, and the punt returns and all that kind of stuff. Well, I feel like, I don't know how I want to say it's a new skill, but it's an improved skill. It looks like this preseason with his catching abilities. He's used much more of the receiving game the last couple games. So he had last year he had 6 catches the whole year. Again, as a backup. But here he is again in the preseason with 5 catches just this past game for 22 yards. Not a ton of yardage, but listen, guys, a 4-yard run or a 4-yard catch, guess what happens? 2nd and 6, no matter what.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters where you get. I could not care less if you catch it, run it, whatever. I just want you to move down the field in a reasonable pace.
Get them over all the yards. Wow.
Yeah. All-purpose yards.
Let's go. Yes, all-purpose yards.
I got you. Yes. APY. So
today, Junior.
I just think that's kind of impressive that he's done that. So I'm gonna give him a little kudos there on that one there. And again, it's a good game. It is a good game when you get 8 touches basically for all intents and purposes between catches and carries, and you got 40 yards. That's 5 yards a touch. That's not bad. The math is very easy on that one. I like when math is easy. So we'll see. Is this the start of him coming into his own and improving, or is this just because he's playing the preseason, he's playing mostly backups? I don't know. I don't know, guys. We're going to find out in a couple weeks, though, see what he does. Lorenzo Lingard, 2 carries, 13 yards, and that 1 fumble, guys. So, 1 fumble. That's the killer right there. And you got to wonder if that's why he only had, 2 carries in the game. He had an opportunity in this game to really show. Again, undrafted rookie free agent, already been cut by one team. We pick him up, and we gave him a shot. And he literally fumbled it away. That's how I look at it. That was your shot. New Giant, Joshua Kelly, who we just signed a couple of days ago. 4 carries, 4 yards, 1 catch, 2 yards. Not a very good outcome. But again, he just got here a couple of days ago. I don't want to judge somebody who just doesn't even know the playbook yet. Let's be honest. That's no clue what the playbook is basically yet. So,
just take the ball and go.
For a group that we really looked at it last week and said, "Oh my God, this group is amazing." Eric Grayson had a good game. I mean, we want to give a little bit of kudos to Singletary for the touchdown. Sure, he can do that, I guess, to a certain degree, but it was a short touchdown.
I was about to say, was it 1-2 yards?
Yeah. Which I know it's not an easy 1 or 2 yards when it's 1 or 2 yards, but I'm not going to sit there and go, "Oh my God, this guy." Woo. great game, got that touchdown. Like that was probably his second best run of the day, but it's the 10-yard game.
Yeah.
So, like I said, definitely left something to be desired on the running game, and definitely disappointment after last week. But I'm wondering, and we'll see what happens next week of that. Get some of these guys back from last week and see what happens. I mean, Tyrone Tracy Jr. probably won't be back till the start of the season. Dante Turbo Miller, we'll have to see how that goes. He's still day to day. Maybe he'll be in next week at that point. But get some of these guys playing, and you might see a different offense. You take some of the pressure off the passing game at that point when you got good running game, and that's going to help DJ a lot. And it looks like, based on at least what we saw last week, he's going to need some help. And by some, I'm trying to be nice.
Some, a lot, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But DJ's going to have some help this year from Malik Neighbors, of course. There he is making that catch.
Nice little segue there.
Yeah, see it like that? That was professional. That was nice.
You really caught that.
I did. Yes. Was the neighboring segment. So, but yeah. So we talked about we wanted Malik Neighbors to really play in the game last week, and not necessarily go crazy. We want him to go play the whole game or something. We wanted some experience for him though against NFL talent. We wanted to see him get his first catch. We had to wait a week. It was this week. On the day overall, he had 4 catches, 54 yards, including a very acrobatic 22-yard sideline catch he had, which was very nice. He was targeted 6 times overall, and one of them he probably should have caught, let's be honest. One of them he probably should have caught, and that was one where the safety went off from the middle over to the side at that point and was kind of converging on him. So we had 2 Texans converging on him at once, and it was Stingley, and I'm trying to remember who it was, not the other, not Mills, to the other safety. That was going towards him there, but the ball hit him. That's the rule. The ball hits you, you catch it, unless it hits your feet. 'Cause that was on purpose usually. But that's the rule, and it caught him. He didn't catch it, and again, I hate to say, I feel like every segment I'm saying this now, but you don't want to chastise somebody who's got a little bit of a track record there, even though the track record was in college, of catching the ball to have a drop. He's probably nervous. He's probably out there to prove a point. Let's get the nerves and the BS out of the way, guys. Let's just do that. Because if we can do that, maybe there's less nerves and BS when the season starts. I am all for
What would it better be?
But, Neighbor still looked very good. I mean, that one catch like he could have had would have put him, that would have put him at like a 70-yard kind of day at that point. Anytime you got that kind of output in the preseason game, when you're only playing like a half, guys, he's going to have some numbers.
Good day.
If you thought this is again against a young but very good Texans secondary there, so he's going to have a good day and a good year, I should say. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how high he does get because he looked good. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked like a guy who's still making some learning curves there, still making some mistakes. And if he looks that good while he's still making mistakes, imagine once he refines his technique and gets used to playing NFL.
With a quarterback that's making the same mistakes.
Well, I'll talk about the quarterback thing. We're going to ignore that part of it. Because he might be helping a rookie quarterback next year. Let's talk about his teammate there, the forgotten wide receiver, Darius Slayton. Because this is a guy we got to talk about here. And not just because he made the best catch of the whole entire day, but just because of who he is. I mean, I feel like Darius Slayton keeps becoming the most underrated asset on the Giants roster. He's the guy that fans keep talking about trading. Let's trade him for, and then they name some like a really good player, but then they try to say that Slayton is crap. It's like, if Slayton is crap, then why would teams want to trade for him?
Yeah, how would you
give us a really good player for him? Like, understand his value. Now, if you don't value him enough to think that you don't think we need him because we have Neighbors and Hyatt and all these people now, that's one thing. Just say that. Just say, I think we're overloaded at talent at that receiver position. I think we can get away with getting Slayton gone as good as he is. But that's not the way it's ever worded when you hear guys talk about it. They make him seem like a spare part. Like, he has the best rapport with Daniel Jones for anybody on this roster. He has since day one. He's survived in this roster. When those up high in the franchise, clearly just didn't want him to succeed, didn't like him, didn't think he was that good. And, you go to 2 years ago with Dable and, Shane's first season. We talked about it before in the podcast. Like, Slayton couldn't see the field the first couple games. Like the fact that he got a 700-yard, season is
But what
just
did he play? Two
absolutely
snaps
amazing. Because,
with 2 years ago. Yeah, he
yeah,
played like 2 snaps with Carolina, and then he had like a healthy scratch week 2, week 3.
yeah,
Like, it was
and he still led the team. That's insanity.
it's
So here you go.
undeniable.
Here's his snap count. Here's his snap counts. I got it up. He had inactive against the Titans. Didn't play at all. Wasn't even on the roster. He got 4 snaps against the Panthers. And then 14 snaps against the Cowboys in week 3. So he started off the year with 18
Healthy
snaps in
scratch.
3 weeks. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's really, really bad, guys. And then he doesn't even play the last week either against the Eagles. They arrested him. So, it's crazy. In reality, he had, 4 games. So he had basically had 13 games that he actually played in like that. And whew, guys, that's pretty impressive to get 724 yards in 14 games. Like that's nothing to scoff at. I'll never understand why this team looks at him like he's just poop. He ain't poop, guys.
No.
He's not a star. Now I get that. If you're looking for a star and you're frustrated if you don't have one, I get it. But guys, we got neighbors now.
I was gonna say, but if he's the best you had, why he put him down? Like, he should compliment neighbors very well.
That's my whole point. This is the first time in his career with the Giants that he's going to get a chance to play with the number 1 wide receiver potentially. Assuming Neighbors is what we think he is. How much is that going to help him when he's going against second and third corners and not the best corner the team has?
Oh, he's gonna look like a stud.
And he's not going to be the guy that gets 10 balls a game. Like, I don't think that. I think he's going to get like 4 catches a game. But one of them's going to be like a 30-yard bomb.
Yeah, he's probably going to be that 4 to 5 catches a game.
Yeah.
Because you're going to figure if you get high to have 3 to 4, 3 to 5, you get neighbors to have 6 or 7. Yeah, like.
Well, add up a lot. I think it's going to be a passing team this year. I really do.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had a bomb. This one was a 44-yard bomb, guys. 3 catches, 59 yards. That was his day. That's the kind of stat line I think he's capable of having. Not necessarily 59 yards. 44 yards is a ridiculous bomb. But, I think him having a 3-catch, 40-yard kind of game on a regular basis is not unheard of.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you expect of him. And you figure 40 times 17, that's going to put him at a good number there.
It's probably going to be 600, right?
So,
but you got to figure.
I can look it up real quick. It's 680. So, which is, he does about 700 a year. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, you got to figure he's going to be utilized a lot more in some other games.
Yeah, of course.
So he has potential. He's got the potential to still hit 700 yards with
I still want to see dual go routes with him and Hyatt. Like, good luck safeties. Who are you going to pick? Who are you going to try to help?
Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters!
Blink neighbors.
All right, guys.
Hyatt.
Let's get into the roster moves, guys. We had a lot of roster moves. We did a whole bonus episode on Thursday about roster moves because we said, you know what? We already did one for the preseason pregame show. Now we got to do this because there's like 10,000 moves made on Thursday when we had pre-recorded. So we made even more moves though here. So first off, on Friday, we're going a little back in the Wayback Machine. Mr. Peabody's
gonna go back in time.
Jacob Johnson, who has been a guy who has followed Carmen Brasillo basically wherever he goes, and he's done it again. So he is, I think it's the first time in the Joe Shane, Brian Dable era that we've had a fullback on the roster there. 6'3", 255 pounds, 29 years old. He was born in Germany, actually. So he's the first international pathway player to ever score a touchdown. So here we are with the German stuff here at that point there. Of course we have, are playing in Germany this year. We had the first German player previously on the Giants there. So the Giants are going into this whole German thing there. But the big thing is the Brazil connection. He played with them in New England. He played with them in Las Vegas with the Raiders there. So, it's one of those things that who knows, how much we're going to use him. But he's going to make the roster. He's going to make the roster. And he's going to be somebody you're going to see popping up, leading blocking in cases there where necessary, especially short yardage backs and all. Priscilla wants a fullback for his run blocking scheme, point blank. And they gave it to him. And I'm sure this was discussed, and I think it's why it's happened so late. I think it was pretty much known that you're going to be on the roster. We'll bring it eventually. Don't you worry. So he gets the guy he wants. Johnson gets to go ahead and also, like I said, play in his home country there of Germany at some point this year when they played the Panthers, which I'm still a little bitter they changed that game because I was hoping to go up to Carolina for that because Florida, Carolina is not too crazy to get to and cheap flights, cheap tickets, but that's not going to happen. Germany's a little more expensive. But the Giants did also injury waive, I should say, Tyree Johnson in the process as well. So, that's who he replaces there. So, that's why if you notice Tyree Johnson, we talked about as potentially being an emergency quarterback for the game there last week against the Texans. That's why it didn't happen. They waived him. They just had the two quarterbacks. They just had, Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito. And they said Drew Lock was available as an emergency quarterback if need be. We all know that wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen. So, welcome to the Giants there, Jacob Johnson. Let's talk about someone leaving, though. People come, people go. That's what happens. So, waived injured. Ryder Anderson. And that was a little bit of a shock to me there, guys. That was not one that I expected to be seeing there. So, Ryder Anderson is a guy who was getting first team snaps with the Giants here. He was the third guy they had in their starting defensive line a lot of times with Dexter Lawrence and Nacho Raheem Nunez-Roches there. But he left the game with a hamstring injury. And they let him go. He was waived injured him at that point there. So I think that shows a lot about what the Giants think about their defensive line, guys. There's still things in flux. They got rid of Jordan Phillips earlier last week. Traded him to the Cowboys in a very weird divisional trade there. Now they're waiving Ryder Anderson the second he gets injured. I don't think they're very high in these defensive linemen. Like, people keep talking about it as if it's a group of young guys and things are gonna happen good because they're all young, like the late round picks, guys. And Ryder Anderson, especially, was not a fit for this defense. I said that from the get-go. I think he's better off in a 4-3 as an actual stand-up, as a hand of the dirt kind of defensive end. I think that's where he belongs. But we don't have that kind of position here. It's not the defense we run. So, hopefully he goes somewhere else and could succeed there. But they're making moves here, guys. And when they make these moves, somebody's got to come in. We got a couple guys in. But I just wonder if defensive line is going to be that spot that we're going to go ahead and really look at when the waiver wire happens. Like, I just feel like that's the position we're going to go crazy for when the waiver wire happens. That and corner, I should say, as well, because it's another thing the Texans definitely showed us the corners are as bad as we thought they were. But yeah, Ryder Anderson on to new things there. So appreciate your time here with the Giants, man. And hope you land your feet with another team once you get healthy, of course. All right. Before we get started, the next one, guys, let's talk about the contest here. We got to go over the contest with you guys.
Enter to win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2 Giant Goofball podcast. Good luck to everyone.
All righty, guys. On to the next segment here. So, I said people are coming and going here. We got another one going here. So, at least going with the chance to come back, though, is Yadni Kajus is on the IR now. So I almost said Rodney. I was about to call him Rodney by accident. Yadni Kajust. So yeah, he also got injured in the game there. Hurt his foot against the Texans. I hadn't heard exactly what kind of injury. Multiple people are just reported as a foot injury, and they put him on the IR. So again, this is a little different than what happened with Ryder Anderson. Like when you put somebody in the IR, you're just keeping them there for the year, basically. And if their contract extends into the next season, that's what you're going to do. Is you're going to have them next season again at that point there, or if they have the chance to come off the, at that point and get healthy again, you can, depending on what designation they give them at that point there, they have the chance to maybe take them off later on. But yeah, this sounds like the season ending one though. So I got to get clarification on that because this just went down a little bit before we came on here tonight there. So as we get Rob back, there he is. But yeah, it's like I said, it's I think that's a sign that they liked him. It is a little weird that it's a 1-year contract that he was on for $1 million. Usually when you just put someone in the IR, it's because you want to have them for the next season. So, maybe there's going to be injury settlement coming, maybe something along those lines. That's possible. But, we'll have to see what happens there. Something to kind of keep an eye out there because if they can get a settlement going, maybe they save a little cap space. Cap space might come in handy considering some of the issues we have in this roster, guys. So hopefully at that point there, hopefully it works out for everybody. So one more segment here, and then we'll go pay the bills. We got to sign it. Giants signed defensive tackle Kyle Bog. Now, undrafted rookie free agent there, got cut by the Saints. So 6'2", 305 pounds, played for Minnesota in college there. Actually was a transfer that originally started off at Houston Baptist. Like I said, he was already cut by the Saints after they originally had signed him. Very strong player. He didn't go to the combine, but he had his pro day, obviously, there in Minnesota. Had 34 bench reps of 225 pounds, guys, which have been tied for most among defensive linemen. So very strong. Now, typically, keep in mind when players are strong, they're not usually fast. It's usually one or the other at that point there. So think of him as that big body, that run stopper, that guy who's going to clog up the middle there, so to speak. That's what he is. So the Hula Bowl scout PJ Hardaway on NFL Draft Diamonds had this to say about him there. He said, transfer from Houston Baptist, 5-year letterman, 4-year starter who has played in 49 career games and has 41 starts under his belt. Has a big, thick, athletic build, a gap disruptor who moves well upfield, has good use of his hands at point of attack, does not allow the offensive lineman to get good hand placement on the inner body. Gets good push up field, displays good ability at disengaging blocks, runs down play to make tackles in goal line situations, does a good job constricting run lanes, forcing ball carriers to bounce to outside the fellow defensive linemen and linebackers, causing traffic in the interior of the defense. He has a relentless motor, gets off block, runs downhill with violence to make tackles on ball carriers. He has good play strength, takes on combo blocks, allows interior defensive linemen and linebackers to engage and make plays in the pocket. Yeah, guys, I got to say, I'm rating this, and they're making this guy sound like he's like the Super Bowl MVP and regular season MVP and Pro Bowl MVP and every kind of MVP there is. Let's be very frank about what this guy is. He's an undrafted rookie free agent. He's a camp body. That's what this is. Like, this is what they're giving you all this cushy, happy feely stuff about him, guys. Let's be very frank of what he is. Undrafted rookie free agent, already cut by one team. You should not have high hopes for a guy like that.
No.
To be very frank, I'm already reading that for you guys because it's the only thing I can find on him. There was no draft profiles. There was nothing crazy on him at that point there to give you a heads up on his pros and cons. That's the only write-up I found on the entire internet about him coming out of college. So, yeah, he'll probably be on the team for the next week or so. Probably be cut. Don't sign a long-term lease.
Yes.
Not trying to mean
about it's too expensive for you.
There it is. Maybe
Hawking
in the practice squad. again, I know it sounds kind of mean,
Yeah.
but that's probably his goal at this point here. Just get on the practice squad and hope for something to happen there. So, all right, guys. Before we go to our next player we signed 2 players today. Let's go ahead and pay those bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. Next signing we got for you here. Another minor signing, guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to hype these guys up. It's what they are towards the end of the year like this. Trey Kaiser, 23 years old, 6 foot even, 224 linebackers, undrafted rookie free agent out of South Alabama, who was recently cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. To be very clear, not Alabama. This is Roll Southern Tide. It's South Alabama. Last year at Alabama, 13 games, 68 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 2 passes deflected there. Now, the big number in that is 9.5 tackles for loss, guys. If you're telling me you had 68 tackles on the year, 9.5 for tackles for loss, and 2.5 for sacks, that's a pretty good number there to a certain degree. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of impressive there. He had 20.5 tackles for loss in his last 26 games there in South Alabama. Not too shabby. His biggest asset he had, though, he excelled at special teams in South Alabama. Like, he was considered their best special team player there was there. And if you want to make a mark in the NFL as a backup, it's probably the best place to do it, guys. So I think that's probably what they're looking at is another Carter Coughlin, Matthew Adams kind of guy, you know, kind of like Cam Brown was for us the last couple of years. A guy who maybe can make an impact in special teams, probably won't actually see defense. That's where I see him as his ceiling. And I know it's not a very high ceiling, guys, but again, I'm trying to be realistic in what these guys are. You don't sign guys who just got cut by the teams after never playing an NFL down for them and expect great things. That's kind of foolish. So,
yeah.
Let's talk about a potentially interesting move, though. You know, we keep talking about the Giants can go ahead and create cap space very easily, restructure some guys. Well, guys, they just did that today. They created cap space, and they did it by restructuring the contract of Andrew Thomas.
Show me the money in the cap space.
There you go.
Show me the money.
There's money in cap space. So they converted $4.175 million of Andrew Thomas's salary into a signing bonus that ends up freeing $3.34 million. Keep in mind, it's still some of it's got to get paid this year because signing bonuses get spread out over the years on the cap. The Giants had, according to Over the Cap there, $10 million in cap space. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that $3.34 million, $10 million in cap space. So you got $13 million and change in cap space. Ooh. I will say this. I've seen random numbers by various different Giants content creators and media members. So like Doug Rush, who writes for a few different places there, talks about the Giants on a regular basis, said we're going to have $18 million in cap space. So yeah, I think he was the highest. So I think 13 and change, like I just said, is the lowest. I'd rather go lower. And if I'm wrong, great. We have extra money. But,
yeah,
you know, and I know people are in a second that hits the media waves there because it just happened this evening. I know probably when it hits tomorrow's, like, you know, you'll see all kinds of articles about who we can sign for this money. Guys, that's not what's going to happen. This is the sure up mission to have enough money to go ahead and sign guys off the waiver wire while still having a couple $1 million saved up for a rainy day fund. Because when people get injured, you got to sign people to replace them. That's what happens.
Yep.
So, you know, it's not a bad thing, but it's don't expect some big player to come. Like, fair warning, like today, for example, Stephon Gilmore signed with the Vikings. He's not coming. Because that's one I know a lot of people keep talking about. He's gone now officially. That option is gone. And I, for one, am glad because I don't want to hear about it anymore. It's sad
Yeah.
and selfish, but I don't like it anymore. So yeah, again, that's probably what the move is though for. That move is for next week after the game, when all the games are over, the waiver wire starts hitting, and the Giants try to get some people at positions of need. Most notably, corner. Most notably, the defensive lineman. Spots that we've been talking about the whole time that we're thin on. Everybody's been so worried about this offense so much they've been ignoring the fact that we're thin at 2 of the 3 levels on defense. Like, we don't have great, bodies at defensive line besides the big one there in Dexter Lawrence. And obviously, if you want to include the edge in there, we're fine on the edge because we got the big 3 there in Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Azeez Ojulari. But we don't got anything beyond that.
Nope.
So like I said, there's issues. There's issues on this roster. And the way you fix those issues is by signing people until you get a better option. And I think that's what you're going to see is the second that you can sign people, they're freeing up money so they got the money to go, oh, we're going to give you $2 million, not the $1 million that so-and-so is going to offer you. Because you're not going to give huge contracts to these guys, obviously. But you need money so you can offer decent contracts. So the Giants are positioning themselves at that point to go ahead and do just that. So we'll see who they sign. But again, it's not going to be a big name. And no, it's not Ryan Tannehill either. I'm waiting for somebody to say that. Someone's going to say it probably. It's not Ryan
Tannehill.
Yeah. All righty, guys. So that ends the episode here for us there tonight. Appreciate you guys all for listening, watching. We're going to be back on again for you guys Wednesday.
Ooh,
oh, yes.
Wednesday.
Of course, we're always live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite.
Drew's late time. Oh,
like I said, we keep on not doing it, but one day I will sign up for Twitter, pay them Elon his blood money so we can go back on there again.
That blue money.
I probably should stop being lazy and go put us back up on Instagram again. It's just a pain in the butt the way they do it on Instagram. So like I said, keep an eye out for that stuff. There, of course, always we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on, hit them all. Every single platform, go on them all and hit because that's what's going to make sure when we go live if you want to watch us live. Because I can tell you when my phone goes, when we go live, it hits off for Facebook, hits off for YouTube, and hits off for LinkedIn. For some reason, Twitch doesn't do anything. But the other big 3, it does there at that point. So appreciate you guys listening. And as always, Giant fans.
Go G-Man!
Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please.